Here are the top stories for today, March 17, 2021. No meddling allowed. Government officials welcome the Supreme Court's decision against petitions questioning the Philippines' withdrawal from the International Criminal Court. More doses of hope on the way. The Philippines secures over 2.3 million vaccine doses as it aims to begin inoculation for other priority sectors on the second quarter of the year. Entry restrictions into the country are back again for over a month as authorities race against time to curb the spread of COVID-19 cases. And the no votes have it. Palawan remains as one as voters reject its division into 3 separate provinces in last weekend's plebiscite. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. We begin with some strong words from government officials following the Supreme Court's decision junking petitions questioning the country's withdrawal from the International Criminal Court or ICC. Communications Secretary Martin Andanar maintains it was only right for President Rodrigo Duterte to leave the Rome Statute or the International Criminal Court or ICC. This amid claims that the ICC is meddling into the country's affairs. Andanar said the decision of President Duterte shows that the chief executive upheld Philippine sovereignty. He maintains that the Duterte administration continues to uphold human rights and rule of law while enforcing the crackdown on illegal drugs. Meanwhile, Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo urged the ICC to stop meddling into the country's internal affairs. Panelo said the ruling validates the president's exclusive power to revoke the country's membership from the ICC. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque shared Panelo's remarks, saying the ICC should not waste its time and resources by looking into alleged human rights violations in the country. The Philippines' withdrawal from the ICC took effect on March 17, 2019. The entry of foreign nationals and returning Filipinos who are non-OFWs is temporarily suspended starting Friday, March 20 until April 19, 2021. The National Task Force Against COVID-19 explains that the measure aims to prevent the further rise of COVID-19 cases and the entry of other COVID-19 variants. The task force also limits the number of inbound international passengers to only 1,500 persons a day. Exempted from the temporary suspension are those who need medical repatriation and other escorts duly endorsed by the Department of Foreign Affairs or the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration. Distressed returning overseas Filipinos duly endorsed by the Department of Foreign Affairs, emergency and humanitarian cases, and other analogous cases approved by the National Task Force on COVID-19, and holders of 9C visas or the seafarers. The government expects the Novavax vaccines to be delivered by the 3rd and 4th quarters of this year. Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez Jr. said they are just waiting for the approval of its application for Emergency Use Authorization or EUA in the United Kingdom, United States, and the Philippines.
Maganda po ang naging kinalabasan na pagpunta natin sa India dahil po nakita natin na-secure po natin yung 30 million doses ng Novavax at meron po tayo tinatawag na continuing program sa India. Yung tinatawag po na India ng Bridging the Valley of Death. Ito yung magandang programa nila na may mga series of vaccines na first generation, third generation, second generation vaccines na ang kanilang programa ay talagang i-eliminate yung COVID-19.
Galvez said the country is set to receive 1.4 million doses of Sinovac within this month, while the World Health Organization, through the COVAX facility, is set to deliver 979,200 doses of AstraZeneca vaccines on March 22nd. The government is currently utilizing the 600,000 doses of Sinovac jabs and the 525,600 doses of AstraZeneca from the COVAX facility to inoculate medical frontliners in public and private institutions nationwide. More than 200,000 healthcare workers have been inoculated across the country. The government has also ramped up the distribution of face masks based on the directive of President Rodrigo Duterte. Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez Jr. said the government aims to complete the inoculation of healthcare workers by mid-April, followed by senior citizens, the indigent population, and other vulnerable sectors by the end of April or May.
Sa plano po natin kasi, asa ngayon po, na yung ngayong March, na kung may darating po tayo na 2.3, matatapos na po natin yung ating mga healthcare workers. Or maybe magkakaroon tayo ng sneak peek. It's coming na mga siguro April 7 up to second week of April. Ang hinanap po natin is this coming April, na bumubuo po tayo ng tinatawag na steady supply, magkaroon po tayo ng 4 million. At least makapagbakuna po tayo ng 1 million a week.
In the meantime, Galvez said the national government would implement a series of measures in response to the spike in COVID-19 cases nationwide over the past several weeks. Galvez said they will be distributing millions of face masks nationwide, concentrating on vulnerable affected areas. Nearly 500 curfew violators are arrested in Pasay City. Meanwhile, lockdown areas in Quezon City is now at 26. More on these and other news around the metro from Marita Muahe.
In Pasay City, about 448 curfew violators are arrested as the city government intensifies the enforcement of health protocols. Mayor Emmy Calixto Rubiano, who is also a COVID-19 survivor, urged her constituents anew to strictly observe the minimum health standards and other local ordinances to contain the transmission of the dreaded disease. As of Sunday, Pasay still has 765 active COVID-19 cases and 8,419 recoveries. 114 were reported to have recovered from the disease. Meanwhile, shopping malls remain open in Manila. The city government clarified there are no plans yet to close shopping malls and other similar establishments, as it disowned news circulating online. Meanwhile, Manila Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso said that the occupancy rate in the quarantine facilities in the city is now at 81%, while the occupancy rate for the city's 6 district hospitals rose to 47%, way higher than the usual 30%. In Quezon City, a portion of Fairview and Barangay E. Rodriguez were added to Quezon City's special concern lockdown areas, bringing to 28 those under close monitoring for rising COVID-19 cases. These are Block 12 and Blocks 13 to 14 of Santo Niño Village Chestnut Extension, Number 8 Oxford Street, and Number 241 15th Avenue, both in Barangay E. Rodriguez. Quezon City has 2,991 active cases, while the total number of validated infections have reached 35,878. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Marita Muahe.
Still to come, the palace says President Rodrigo Duterte is not downplaying the plight of Filipinos due to COVID-19. And Makilan City in Bulacan rolls out its vaccination drive for frontliners. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Sa matinding laban natin sa coronavirus disease 2019, sugpuin din natin ang pagkalat ng fake news. Huwag magbahagi ng impormasyon na hindi tiyak ang pinagmulan. I-check mabuti ang source ng balita. Kumuha lamang ng impormasyon mula sa mga official channel ng Department of Health. Huwag magpadala sa maling balita, basta't sama-sama at laging handa. Kaya natin to. Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito. Pangalagaan ng sarili laban sa coronavirus disease 2019. Hanggat maaari, umiwas sa mataong lugar. Iwasang hawakan ang ilong at bibig, maging malinis sa katawan at ugaliin ang wastong paghuhugas ng kamay. Takpan ng ilong at bibig kung uubo o babahing. Umiwas sa mga taong nagpapakita ng sintomas ng coronavirus disease gaya ng lagnat, ubo at sipon. Magsuot ng face mask kung kinakailangan. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa. Kaya natin to. Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Malacanang maintains that President Rodrigo Duterte is not downplaying the suffering of Filipinos. The clarification was issued following criticisms that his latest announcement shrugs off the plight of the Filipinos amid the pandemic. In a virtual presser, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque explained that the president was simply expressing confidence that Filipinos will be able to rise from the challenges of COVID-19.
Ang sinasabi ng mga presidente, temporary lang po yan. Hindi po yan forever. Lilipas din po yan at pagdating po ng bakuna, magkakaroon na tayo ng solusyon sa ating problema, magkakaroon tayo ng new normal. So hindi po minamaliit ng presidente ang ating paghihirap, pero ang sinasabi po niya, babangon naman po tayo dyan, we will heal as one, at malapit na po yung panahon na yon dahil inaatupag nga po ni Secretary Galvez sa pagdating ng mga bakuna.
The city government of Makilan in the province of Bulacan starts today the vaccination of its healthcare workers. The province is also bringing back checkpoints to prevent a rise in COVID-19 cases. Chris Crismundo reports.
Healthcare workers in Makilan City start receiving their vaccine against COVID-19 on Wednesday. This as 640 shots of AstraZeneca vaccines arrived in the city Tuesday. The inoculation for the city's medical frontliners will be rolled out within this week in 3 COVID-19 referral hospitals: the Makilan Doctors Hospital, the Marymount Hospital, and the Nazarenos Hospital. Dr. Cesario Ira, director of Makilan Doctors Hospital, was the medical professional to receive the first COVID-19 vaccine shot in the city. A little delay happened during his vaccination, as his blood pressure went up from his normal rate. But 15 minutes later, Dr. Ira's blood pressure stabilized and then he finally received the vaccine shot. Makilan City Mayor Linabel Ruth Villarica said she feels relieved with the arrival of COVID-19 vaccine for healthcare workers in the city. She added that these vaccines will help in protecting the city's medical frontliners. The city has to inoculate 983 medical frontliners. Meanwhile, border quarantine checkpoints are back in Bulacan starting Wednesday. This is part of the executive order signed by Governor Daniel Fernando. The EO will last for 1 month until April 17. Among the salient points in the EO include province-wide curfew hours from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. and a liquor ban. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Crismundo.
Cebu City will not be placed under lockdown before the Holy Week despite the surge in COVID-19 cases. The Interagency Task Force Deputy Chief Implementer Melquiades Feliciano said Cebu City has been able to hold up despite the uptrend in coronavirus cases starting last February. He, however, said Cebuanos must avoid activities joined in by huge crowds during the Holy Week to prevent transmission and mutation of the virus. Feliciano also commended churches in Cebu for strictly adhering to the 50% capacity during holy masses and other religious activities. He reminded authorities to be aggressive in implementing health and safety standards down to the purok level to sustain the gain in the fight against COVID-19. And in Nueva Ecija, San Antonio Mayor Arvin Salonga has ordered village officials to implement stricter rules on mass gatherings to contain the spread of the virus. Aside from curfew hours from 11 p.m. to 5 p.m., Salonga said no neighbor shall be allowed to attend wakes, which should last for a maximum of 3 days only. Only immediate members of a family can attend large gatherings such as weddings, birthdays, and wakes. A special permit shall also be secured from the local government before a wedding or birthday is celebrated. The sale and consumption of alcoholic drinks are likewise prohibited. The mayor of Legazpi City took his first dose of COVID-19 vaccine to encourage his constituents to get vaccinated against the virus. More on this and other news from the provinces from Laid Cabagani.
To help allay the fears of the people on receiving vaccination against COVID-19, Legazpi City Mayor Noel Rizal led the vaccinees during the rollout of CoronaVac jobs at the Legazpi City Convention Center on Tuesday. Rizal expressed the need for residents to get vaccinated for the safety of the city as it reopens the economy. At least 287 health workers in Legazpi City are targeted to be vaccinated. In an earlier interview, he said they have earmarked 200 million pesos for the purchase of vaccines to inoculate the city's 130,000 residents. Meanwhile, Negros Occidental has received over 5,000 vials of Sinovac's CoronaVac vaccines, which are used in the ongoing inoculation of healthcare workers in various government-run hospitals. On Tuesday, the Provincial Health Office delivered 230 vials to the Bago City Health Office intended for the frontliners of Bago City Hospital. The latest shipment of 2,590 vials of CoronaVac for Negros Occidental arrived on March 13. Last month, the provincial government paid more than 4 million pesos to AstraZeneca Pharmaceuticals Philippines Incorporated, representing the advance payment for its order of 100,000 doses. In Benguet, the municipality of Bukod has intensified its information campaign on the vaccination program and its benefits by going to the grassroots level. Bukod Mayor Tomas Wallace said the campaign to carry a message about the safety of vaccines is done in the town's 10 barangays. He said they have completed the master list of priority vaccinees such as senior citizens and now doing the registry for person under second priority. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Laid Cabagani.
In our business news, Banco de Oro or BDO has revised slightly its economic growth forecast for the Philippines this year amid the risk of rising COVID-19 cases. BDO Unibank First Vice President Jonathan Ravela said it is looking at a gross domestic product growth of at least 6% at the end of 2021 from an initial forecast of 6.6%. The downgrade resulted from the delay in the reopening of the economy. Ravela said a contraction in GDP is still expected in the first quarter of the year. He added the challenge in flattening the curve would cause uneven economic recovery. On the other hand, the vaccination program and the impact of the stimulus program of the Biden administration would appear to benefit the Philippine economy. Ravelas expects more traction towards the second half of this year, adding that inoculating more Filipinos will drive better confidence in the market. Up next, no 3-in-1 in Palawan as residents reject its division. Heads up commuters, the MRT halts its operations for the Holy Week. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Tandaan ang tamang paraan ng paghuhugas at paglilinis ng kamay upang makaiwas sa iba't ibang karamdaman. Basain ng tubig ang mga kamay at sabunin. Unang sabunin ang mga palad at ang likod ng mga kamay. Kuskusin na maigi ang pagitan ng mga daliri at maging ang mga kuko. Isunod ang pagitan ng mga hinlalaki at kuskusin ng paikot ang mga dulo ng mga daliri sa magkabilang palad. Banlawang mabuti ang mga kamay sa malinis na tubig at patuyuin ang mga kamay gamit ang single-use towel o air dryer. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito. Alamin ang mga dapat gawin sa lugar ng trabaho laban sa Coronavirus Disease 2019. Ang mga kumpanya ay dapat magbigay ng face mask sa kanilang mga empleyado. Bukod dito, magbigay kaalaman din patungkol sa COVID-19. Siguraduhing malinis ang kapaligiran. Maglagay ng sabon at hand sanitizer sa mga palikuran. Siguraduhing ligtas at nalutong maigi ang mga pagkain sa kantina. Obserbahan ang kalusugan ng mga empleyado at katrabaho. Kung sakali man na mayroon silang sintomas ng coronavirus disease, gaya ng lagnat, ubot sipon at hirap sa paghinga, ay agad ipasuri sa doktor. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
It's a no for Palawan as residents voted to reject its division into 3 separate provinces. The Provincial Board of Canvassers proclaimed the results late Tuesday afternoon, with the no camp leading by over 50,000 votes. A total of 172,304 residents voted no, while only 122,000 residents voted yes, based on the results from 22 of 23 towns of the province. COMELEC Commissioner Antonio Co, the commissioner in charge of the March 13 plebiscite, thanked the people who participated and those who assisted them in holding the referendum. He also thanked the health professionals who joined the election amid the threat of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Philippine National Police, or PNP, also reported that at last weekend's plebiscite was generally peaceful. PNP officer in charge, Lieutenant General Guillermo Eliazar, said they only encountered minor problems such as poor signal reception and difficulties in transport of election materials. The Philippine Identification System, or PHILSIS, has started to gain confidence from Dabaweños who are now seeing the benefits of a unified national ID. As of March 15, nearly 74,000 individuals have successfully registered and are waiting for Step 3, the issuance of the PHILSIS number and ID. PSA advised that those who have completed Step 1 and have received the text message to contact the PSA provincial office or the assigned PHILSIS registration centers in their area. It also encouraged them to prepare for the online Step 1 registration target open to the public this year. 28 registration centers are operating in Davao Region, 12 of which are in Davao City. The Philippine Identification System Act aims to establish a single national ID for all Filipinos and resident aliens. Transactions in the government and private sectors could be accelerated once a resident is registered with PHILSIS. Moderna has begun COVID-19 vaccine trials on children aged between 6 months and 12 years. The first participants were administered doses in the Phase 2 and 3 study called the Kid Cove study. CEO Stefan Banchel said the pediatric study will help Moderna assess the potential safety of its COVID-19 vaccine candidate in a younger population. Moderna had been encouraged by the primary analysis of the Phase 3 study of its mRNA 1273 vaccine in adults ages 18 and above. He noted that 17.8 million adults in the United States have so far received Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine. For its part, the World Health Organization continues to recommend the use of AstraZeneca vaccine despite several countries discontinuing its use. European countries including Germany, France, Ireland, Italy, the Netherlands, Denmark, and Norway have suspended the use of AstraZeneca after reports of people developing blood clots after receiving the jab. WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus said it is routine practice to investigate these incidents. Tedros said the greatest threat that most countries face now is lack of access to vaccines. The WHO said the vaccines have been in use for a few months now, and even though they are so rapidly scaled up, 300 million people already have received at least one dose. The Spanish Navy training ship Juan Sebastian Elcano has arrived in the waters of Giwan, Eastern Samar, as it retraces the route of the expedition of explorer Ferdinand Magellan 500 years ago. The Elcano dropped anchor at the same place spotted by the Magellan-Elcano expedition on March 16, 1521. Elcano is on a 7-day visit to the Philippines from March 16 to the 22nd after departing from Spain in October 2020 to retrace the first circumnavigation of the world. The ship took part in the unveiling of the Suluan Quincentennial Historical Marker and a fluvial parade organized by the municipality of Giwan. Elcano also attended the unveiling of Homonhon's historical marker on March 17, after which it will leave for Cebu on March 20. In 2018, the National Historical Commission of the Philippines announced that it would mark 34 sites in the country along the first circumnavigator's route. The Philippines is also celebrating the 500th anniversary of the victory at Mactan and the quincentenary of Christianity this year. Here's the latest in our community billboard. The operations of the MRT-3 will be suspended from March 30, Holy Tuesday, to April 4, Easter Sunday. The management of the MRT-3 said this is part of their annual intensified maintenance and rehabilitation works. Aside from maintenance works, the temporary shutdown will allow the replacement of turnouts at the MRT-3 depot, replacement of point machines, and installation of CCTV units. For more updates, visit the MRT3 page on Facebook. Here's another look at today's biggest stories. No meddling allowed. Government officials welcome the Supreme Court's decision against petitions questioning the Philippines' withdrawal from the International Criminal Court. More doses of hope on the way. The Philippines secures over 2.3 million vaccine doses as it aims to begin inoculation for other priority sectors on the second quarter of the year. Entry restrictions into the country are back again for over a month as authorities race against time to curb the spread of COVID-19 cases. And the no votes have it. Palawan remains as one as voters reject its division into 3 separate provinces in last weekend's plebiscite. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check more news content, visit our webpage or head onto the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. We tell stories that inspire change. Good day. I am William Theo. Stay safe, everyone.